David, just this question is just for the record before we kickstart properly. Your critics are saying that majority of your recent works and reports have been and are still about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, even while he was contesting up till now. It has been very intense from your side. So I ask you clearly so that people who are watching can understand. And without ambiguity, all your efforts against one man is to what purpose?
First of all, I should correct the impression that it's efforts against one man. The purpose of public interest journalism is to hold power accountable. Right? So if this one man happens to be the one who is aligned with power or in power, then it's my job to go after him. Right. So what we were taught in school is that the job of a journalist is to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. So it's the person who is in power that I'm obviously going to hold accountable. I'm not going to hold accountable the person who is not in power because what are they going to do? So people need to get used to the reality that this is what democracy means. A large part of democracy means that the people who are in power must be constantly held by their feet to the fire. That's what journalism is supposed to do. So um, I guess because a lot of what we have known as journalism in Nigeria over the years is basically PR. So people expect that every journalist is supposed to act a certain way, but people should understand that this is the 21st century. Things have changed. Um, as you said when you were introducing me, I'm not even in Nigeria right now, and yet I still have a presence there. You couldn't do that 20 or 30 years ago. So,
That's true.
and it's now possible to do certain kinds of journalism that might not have been practicable some years back. So now that that opportunity exists, those of us who have the circumstances to permit us to do this kind of work, we're going to do it, right? And we're not going to stop because some people feel slighted by it, or some people try to emotionally blackmail us. Oh, you're always going after this one person. Yes, I am, because that's the person in power, and I will continue to do so. And I hold no apologies for that whatsoever.
All right, well, well said. Anyway, I like the fact that you corrected that particular notion. But like I said, it's for people who are looking at our show now and have certain things on their mind, because we hear all these arguments back and forth, and we know exactly how people feel. There are mixed reactions. Although I know you have a lot of people who believe in your work. Now, moving on. I'm sure you've listened to the transcript. The uncertified transcript is almost about 218 pages, with a few blank pages anyway. But in that deposition, Caleb Westberg, as they claim, was not specific as to whether the certificate was forged or not, talking about Tinubu certificate, but claims that Bola A. Tinubu attended the Chicago State University. Now, he also admitted that the school did not issue the certificate that Tinubu submitted to INEC. Now, please help us make sense of the implication of this.
So let me start by again correcting the notion that he wasn't categorical in disclaiming that certificate. He was as categorical as it is possible to be when delivering a legal deposition. Bear in mind, the purpose of a legal deposition is to obtain statements of fact under oath. So if he's asked specifically, was this certificate forged? The answer he's going to give you is not, no, it wasn't forged, or yes, it was forged. Because saying that it was forged implies that you probably even know where it emanated from. Right? That's probably going beyond his remit. So when he was asked, where did this certificate emanate from you? His answer was no, we did not issue this certificate. That is as categorical as it's possible to get. It's not his job to then go further than that and say this certificate was definitely forged and it came from so and so and so platform where they forged certificate. That's not the question he was asked. So I think people who are trying to use that as a line of defense should actually read this deposition because it was asked multiple times in different ways. This certificate that was issued to INEC, have you seen it before? Did it originate from Chicago State University? Did you issue it? And on every count, he said no. That is as categorical as possible to get because if if the university did not issue it, then that can only mean that it's a forgery. because where else would it have come from? Chicago State University does not use any third parties or anything like that. They issue everything themselves. So if it did not come from them, it is not valid, which makes it a forgery, full stop. Now, the other important issue, the a related issue, which was also highlighted in that deposition, was that the assumption that the Nigerian president attended Chicago State University, which was repeated multiple times,
Okay.
under oath in that deposition, that we believe that this person attended the university, blah blah blah. That assumption was exactly that, an assumption, because he was asked point blank. So the idea that Bola A. Tinubu on file at Chicago State University and the Nigerian president called Bola Ahmed Tinubu are the same person. What is that idea based on? And he said, well, it's based on the fact that we have a transcript here with the name Bola A. Tinubu on it. And then he was pressed further. So you're saying you don't have any identifying information. You don't have a passport data page. You don't have a driver's license. You don't have a passport photograph. You don't have any visual identification. And the answer is no, we don't. So basically, what Chicago State University claimed was that they are just assuming that because there's somebody on file called Bola A. Tinubu who supposedly graduated in 1979, and then there's somebody who is now Nigeria's president who is called Bola Ahmed Tinubu who claims to have attended the university and graduated in the same year, that means that they are the same person, but that the school actually has no way of actually knowing this for a fact. It's an assumption because they were asked specifically under oath. So you are saying that this is just an assumption, and he said that is correct. So I think those are the two major things to pick out from that deposition. The first, that
Yeah.
the university categorically disclaimed that certificate that was submitted to INEC. They said it didn't come from us. We don't know where it came from, which can obviously only mean that this thing was forged. And obviously, I have done some work on my own establishing where that certificate actually came from. And then second, that the university also confirmed that the idea that Bola A. Tinubu that it has on its files, who gained admission as a woman, and the person known as Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is a man, who is the president of Nigeria, the idea that they are the same person is purely based on an assumption that they have no actual visual ID or certification to attest to the idea that
Yeah.
these two are in fact the same person.